Syracuse, 212 BC. Roman soldiers are pouring through the walls. Somewhere in the chaos, an old man is sitting in the dust, drawing circles. A soldier finds him, tells him to get up and come with him. The old man doesn't move. He's in the middle of a problem, and he's not done. The soldier kills him on the spot. That old man was Archimedes, arguably the greatest scientist of the ancient world. And the thing you probably know about him, a guy shouting Eureka naked in a bathtub, might not have even happened. Most people know exactly one story about Archimedes, and it's the bathtub one. King wants to know if his crown is real gold. Archimedes gets in the tub, water spills over, he runs into the street shouting, Eureka! That version comes from a Roman writer named Vitruvius, writing about 200 years after Archimedes was already dead. Historians today think the bath and the naked streaking were dramatic flourishes added later. Ancient writers were allowed to do that. They were storytellers first, historians second. But strip away the theatrics, and there's something underneath that's completely real, provable, and still used today. Archimedes wasn't a guy who got lucky in a bathtub. He was an engineer who tested ideas against the physical world, centuries before that was normal. Here's the actual problem. The king suspects his goldsmith swapped some of the gold in his crown for cheaper silver. Archimedes has to prove it, without melting the crown down. His real insight, written down in his own surviving work, is this. Gold is denser than silver. So if you take a lump of pure gold and a crown of the exact same weight and dunk both in water, the crown, if it's been cheated with silver, has to be bigger. More volume for the same weight. And a bigger object pushes more water out of the way. So he weighed the crown against pure gold, submerged both, and compared how much water each one displaced. More displacement from the crown meant it wasn't pure. Simple weighing, precise physics, no melting required. That single idea, objects push aside their own volume in water, is still called Archimedes' principle. It's the same math that tells engineers whether a steel ship the size of a city block will float. Here's what made Archimedes strange for his time. Most Greek thinkers treated hands-on, practical work as beneath a serious mind. Philosophy was for thinking. Building things was for someone else. Archimedes ignored that completely. When Rome laid siege to his city, he didn't just calculate, he built. Ancient historians describe a massive crane mounted on the harbour walls, with an iron claw on the end. It would reach out, hook a Roman ship by the bow, hoist it partway out of the water, and drop it. Multiple independent Roman and Greek historians describe Roman sailors terrified of getting anywhere near the walls. He'd taken pure mathematics, levers, leverage, the physics of force, and turned it into a weapon that worked. Archimedes also developed something even stranger for his era, a technique for calculating the area of curved shapes by packing smaller and smaller known shapes inside them, closing in on the answer bit by bit. That's essentially the core idea behind calculus. And calculus, the real formalized version, didn't show up again until Isaac Newton, almost 1900 years later. 1900 years is longer than the gap between now and the fall of Rome. For almost 2,000 years, nobody picked the idea back up and pushed it further. Imagine what 1900 more years of that thinking could have looked like, uninterrupted. Instead, the thread got cut. In the dust, mid-diagram. So the story isn't really, genius shouts Eureka in a bathtub. The real story is a man who insisted that ideas had to survive contact with the real world, weighed, floated, tested, and who was still doing exactly that when a sword found him. He wasn't rushing to be remembered. He was finishing the problem in front of him. Somewhere in Syracuse, there's a circle in the sand that never got finished. Nobody ever will. If you like what we're doing here at Science for Starters, consider subscribing to our channel and check out our other videos. Got a topic you want us to dig into? Drop it in the comments. Happy learning!